Your commencement speaker today is Jim Reavis. Jim is an entrepreneur, strategist, speaker, and writer specializing in the future of information security. As president of Reavis Consulting Group, he advises Fortune 500 companies and government agencies to take advantage of emerging trends in information technology while maintaining high standards of security. And as executive director of the nonprofit Cloud Security Alliance, Jim helps promote information security best practices throughout the industry and well beyond. Father of four, an alum, and a member of Western Washington's Alumni Association Board of Directors, Jim believes that the ongoing advances in information technology put today's graduates, not just those schooled in computer science, in a better position now to change the world than in any time past. It gives me great pleasure to introduce your commencement speaker, Mr. Jim Reavis. Jim.
Thank you very much, President Shepard, Board of Trustees, deans, honored guests. But most of all, this is for you, the graduates, and I want to tailor this speech for you, and so I actually prepared two speeches. I'm gonna let you choose which one I do. I have my standard inspirational speech that hopefully will be very useful for you, and then I also did a second Mad Libs version of that speech, which in every instance of the word graduates, I substituted bananas. For the word university, I substituted outhouse, and for your future, I substituted your hemorrhoids. So why don't you let me know which one do you want me to? I could start with the Mad Libs one and we could see how it goes. Greetings, Western Washington, outhouse, bananas. I'm here to talk about your hemorrhoids. Well, we'll stand. I feel the temperature here is about 20 degrees warmer since I started from the glares from the Board of Trustees, so I'm going to go with the regular speech, I think. So on behalf of my generation, I wanted to welcome the 2010 Western graduates to the global financial meltdown, 9.8% unemployment, nuclear proliferation, state-sponsored terrorism, and Dancing with the Stars. So I mentioned these five horsemen of the apocalypse because I know that based on your age that you are certainly of legal drinking age in this jurisdiction and any other jurisdiction. There might be a little bit of that happens tonight. I can sort of sense that maybe some of it happened last night. And so I'm going to give you a little bit to toast to. But actually, in tough times, I consider myself to be a little bit of a contrarian, and the real message behind this is that I actually think that there is no better time for a person to be a graduate of a university, and that you have tremendous opportunities in front of you. And I'll try to nail that for you. So it is my privilege to address you. I know when I enrolled here in 1983, the admission requirements were much lower than they are now. So I already know that I probably couldn't have enrolled when you did, and you probably have accomplished a fair amount more during your time at the university than I did. But if you'll indulge me just a little bit, I want to talk to you a little bit about why I have this optimism, and a little bit about my story and what I've done, and why I believe we're truly on this precipice of major disruptions to society. They're going to empower you as individuals to be more powerful change agents than ever before. So I am the founder, as President Shepard said, of something called the Cloud Security Alliance. It's this global nonprofit association. We have a mission to build an ecosystem of trust within cloud computing, which is one of these disruptive trends. I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley, and so I say disruptive and transformational a lot, so you could consider that to be a good drinking game, I think. If you go back and watch us later on YouTube, you'll probably get pretty drunk. But cloud computing, as I'll explain, is one of these disruptive forces that is really empowering on an individual basis. So cloud computing, in very simple terms, is this movement of computers being a utility, our usage of that, just like electricity, telephone. And this sort of thing is actually something that Amazon.com could be argued as a company that helped sort of usher in this era. So Amazon, as we know, this retailer, they've got, as you can imagine, massive computer infrastructure. And why do they have to have so much computer infrastructure? Because they need to make sure that the orders are processed in a very timely way during their peak season, which their peak season is my birthday, of course. So, no, it's the holidays, I think. So what happens for the rest of the year? The rest of the year, these computers are still running, and they're consuming a lot of electricity. They're very idle. It's not green. And they're not making any money off that. So they had this idea, essentially, is why don't we sell that computer access? Why don't we rent it to other businesses so that they can use it when we don't need it? That's sort of a simple idea, but that's actually sort of taken a foot, and some amazing things have happened. I'm gonna share one anecdote about that I think will make it maybe a little more real. And there was a researcher at Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly is a global pharmaceutical company. And for a global pharmaceutical company, the cost of time in bringing to market a major blockbuster drug is $150 a second. And so this researcher was working on one such drug, and they needed a lot of computer power to do a lot of number crunching and a lot of statistical research. And so they went to their IT department and they said, I need this is what I'm working on. And the IT department said, we will get that to you in 3 months, and it'll cost around $300,000. So this researcher, credit card in hand, went to Amazon.com to go rent their cloud computing services. They completed that project in 4 hours for $89. Now, the big aha moment about that is not that Eli Lilly can do this 3 months faster and that they saved a few $100,000. The big aha is that one researcher proved that they didn't need Eli Lilly. What does that mean to the pharmaceutical industry? What does that mean to any industry? So Mark Zuckerberg, who you've probably heard of, he's the CEO of Facebook, and he's not much older than the graduates here, maybe younger than some of you. He said recently that within the next 5 years, there is going to be a significant opportunity to rethink every industry along the lines of social networking. Steve Case, he was the founder of AOL, that's what your parents used to get on the internet way back when. It was, you've got mail. That was very lame. But he said recently that the next 25 years, it's not about what we are going to do with the internet, but in fact, how the internet is actually going to transform the rest of society. And we're really just on the precipice of this. You see people in certain parts of the world that take their iPhone into a store and they go scan the barcode and they press a button and it tells them within a few blocks 10 other places you can buy the same item, comparison shop, all these sorts of things. It's just sort of mind-boggling where a lot of those things are going to go. But the point is, as President Shepard was saying in his introduction, technology has become so pervasive, so powerful, that in a contrary sort of way of thinking, it's not any longer about the technology. It's about how we use this ubiquity of technology to be able to transform the rest of society. And that's the big thing that I think you can help us with. And this challenge is tailor-made for you. You know, every generation gets their name, the baby boomers, and I'm a year too young to be a baby boomer, so I don't know what my generation is. My wife, on the other hand, is a baby boomer. So you are, I think, called the digital babies. And the digital babies because you, generally speaking, have very little, if any, memory of what the world was like before the internet, which for a lot of us older people just makes us really, really confused by your view of the world. But we believe that you have this innate sense of how technology works. You have no fear, and because what it's going to take is a revolution, and you can lead that revolution. It doesn't matter what college from Western you came from. You can further your passions, your purpose, like never before. Whether you think of yourself as an entrepreneur, captain of industry, a politician, leader of a social movement, you don't have to compromise. You don't have to wait around. You can just go do it. My own organization, Cloud Security Alliance, was just an idea a couple of years ago, and we decided, let's not build this standards organization like traditional standards organizations because we're dealing with something new. So it was basically a social network that we organized, and now it is considered to be the industry leader. We have corporate members, Google, Microsoft, Intel, IBM, and we're definitely on track for this being a multi-million-dollar enterprise in the next year. So it's something that if you want to change the world, there's an app for that. You can do it. So hopefully you believe this. So how do you get there? So I have a few different things. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of the same sort of inspirational messages. So I just have my own sort of twist on this. One of them is about retaining that childlike sense of wonder about life and life in its simplicity. So when I casually mention to people that I'll probably rack up 200,000 air miles this year, I get these sort of very sympathetic, sad looks like I have some sort of a terminal disease. And that's our view of travel. And granted, I'm not a big fan of TSA and all the probing. Unless I've been away from home for a long time, then it's about the human contact. But I think about it, you're in this capsule, you're going 600 miles an hour. You can't that beats any ride at Disneyland or any place else. Shouldn't we all be sitting there in our seats with our hands up in the air, just screaming like this is the greatest ride ever, instead of complaining about, well, I've seen this movie and my food's kind of cold. We need to have that sense of wonder and think about, hey, in 8 hours, like for me last week, in 8 hours, I'm going to be in Barcelona, Spain, having sangrias that I didn't even have to pay for. And so there was actually an Irish pub we went to, and I'm not kidding, called Obama's in Barcelona. So it was great. It was great. So the point of this is I'm really a believer in Occam's razor, the theory that the simplest, most economical answer is the correct one. And you think of something like YouTube. That was such a simple idea that got the founders $2 billion. It's almost like we're too smart for our own good sometimes. And I really think if you maintain through your life that real childlike sense of wonder, you're able to find those simple answers to life, which are so necessary. Another thing that I think is important to think about is, and it's a hard one for me to explain, but go solve tomorrow's problems today. And the point is that problems today, some of them may be around, some of them may be very transient. And it's very important to look at how the world's going to change and think about trends. And for example, we know that we have a lot of baby boomers that are entering retirement age. How is that going to play out over the next 5-10 years? What is that going to mean for healthcare? Move aside from the political debates. Think about the most populous country in the world. Because of child planning policies, they have an imbalance between male citizens and female citizens. What is that going to mean 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And think about some other trends. Is there going to be some violent sort of encounter out of all of that? Are there going to be peaceful means? Are there going to be social policies? Are there things we can do about that? There's things all around us that we know of and things we can predict. And if you take multiple of these different trends and you try to see how they might intersect, you might have some idea how you can solve problems tomorrow, but focus on tomorrow. Another one, my third one, is to retain your sense of humility and community. And I've been lucky enough to be able to spend time with people you would consider to be very successful in whatever walk of life they were, certainly billionaires, a lot of different people. And I really do find that they're humble, they're better listeners than most of us, and they know that other people have the right answers, and they seek to surround themselves with people smarter than who they are. And they also, I think, have some of that childlike sense of wonder. We were sitting at the alumni dinner on Thursday next to former Secretary of State Monroe, trustee, who I think people would consider to be a very successful person, and he's definitely not lost his sort of down-home sense of self. And as the Whatcom or the Western Choir was singing some carol in Latin, he passed a note to my wife that said, "Let's go ask him to do Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer." So those are the kinds of people out there that are real leaders. They're listeners, they're very humble, and they look at their success as just being an outcome of making their friends and their coworkers successful. Make other people successful, and then you'll be successful. And the final one that I wanted to say is that we don't want you to be bound by the past, but we do want you to respect it. As I said, there is the need for a revolution in changing all of our industries and everything we're doing. At the same time, we need to remember that there are a lot of good things that your predecessors have brought about, and do this in a very positive way. Don't tear down, as revolutionaries often do. Don't demonize and tear down the past. Just build a better future. But keep some perspective about it. So think about it. The Mona Lisa, the Constitution, duct tape. We have come up with some good things that you can use. And even if you've found that there are people who didn't leave a very physical, tangible mark, I think we can look around our family, our friends, and we can realize that there has been a lot of the past that has been very inspirational to us. My father loved education. He graduated from 3rd grade, and when he was 12 years old, this was in the Depression in Arkansas, his responsibility was to go get dinner every night. It was not from Hagen, not from Costco, it was with his squirrel gun. And so, if you're curious, a good pairing for squirrel is you want to go with the Pinot Noir, because the Cabernet Sauvignon is a little too overpowering for it. When he was your age, he was dodging Nazi bullets, and he was the one person out of 6 to escape a foxhole that a grenade went into. So, very shell-shocked, shattered. He sort of found his way up to Northwest Washington, lived a very simple and good life as a barber in Ferndale. And when I would come home to get my laundry done from Western, I would always bring my textbooks, because he always, didn't matter what the course was, he wanted to go page through that. He wanted to learn at his age, and we'd go through it very slowly. He was a slow reader, but seeing his intensity, seeing his weathered hands of a laborer going through those, had a very profound impact on me, that not only did I want to complete my education, but I wanted to make it meaningful, and I want all of you to make that meaningful. No buildings with his name, but certainly he impacted me, he inspired me to graduate, and as well as my 2 sisters, the 3 graduates, which were the first ones from our family. So, as I say, you graduates, you'll need to make a break with the past in order to innovate, but please respect it. And think about this. You are part of this chain of humanity. that goes way back, and those links will get twisted, they'll get stretched, but they should never break. And someday, your future will be someone's past, and life does come at you very quickly. So I want to wish you the best for your future. I want you to have a great time tonight. And when you get up tomorrow at the crack of 2 p.m., I want you to first make sure you go and join Western Alumni Association. Do that. It will pay off. Then go start making those great plans. So I truly believe we're on the verge of some great things happening. Your generation's going to do it. Your generation has the opportunity to make the biggest mark on humanity than any generation has ever made. And that's why at the beginning I was saying, this is my privilege to address you. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim.